Uncommon Dad Work Podcast today, episode 57 or something like that. And we just had one of those nights over here where one of them isn't going to go to sleep. That was my daughter. And she wasn't going to go to sleep and she just cried. And then we thought she was asleep and we tried to go to sleep and then she cried again. And there was no soothing that. So then she joined us in bed. And then the 11-month-old joined us in bed. And then there was thunder. So my son, 5, joined us in bed. And it was one of those nights. And what was going on? My daughter, my son's sister, is sick. So, that's why she couldn't sleep. And it's one of those nights. And these nights happen to us. And sometimes it feels hard. And the question is when life gets hard, whether it's that or something else, you're like, how am I going to make the mortgage payment? Or somebody passes away or something else catastrophic happens. Well, how do we react? How do we respond? How do we show up? What happens? Do we do the things that we've always done? The way that we have always been? Do we show up that way? Do we show up the common way, the ordinary way? Is that what we do? Or when life gets hard, are we going to have the capacity to do something just a little bit different? To ask ourselves, how would I normally show up in this situation when life is hard and she's crying again in the middle of the night and I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning? Or I don't know if we're going to make the mortgage payment this month. Or we just talked about the D word, my wife and I. What are you going to do? When that happens, we want to ensure that we have the capacity to ask the questions, well, how would I normally show up in this situation? How do I want to reactively show up right now? What would be the ordinary thing? What would be the common me thing to do? Okay. What would be the extraordinary thing to do? What would be the uncommon thing to do here? What would it look like to rise above the status quo? Just the normal, same shit, different day way of showing up. What would that look like? That's the capacity that we want to have. And that's the question I want you to ask yourself now and throughout the entirety of today's podcast. When the shit hits the fan, how am I going to show up? Will I have the capacity to ask myself that question? Well, how would I normally show up? And what would it look like to show up in an extraordinary way, in an uncommon way, to rise above right now? My daughter's up in the middle of the night. When my wife and I we're not good. When I'm faced with not making the mortgage payment, what am I going to do? And I hate talking about myself, guys. I'd rather talk about you guys. But I'm going to tell you about probably the hardest year of my adult life as a husband and as a father. 2025 was brutal here. It was the first year of real growing pains for me as a business owner. But the whole thing, it wasn't about business, really. It was about integrity. And when it comes to how I show up for my family, especially in front of my wife and my children, in the ways that they will see, I will not compromise. And that doesn't always make you friends. So I stood my truth in my community and publicly at the end of 2024. Wasn't about politics, wasn't about Trump, wasn't about Biden or Harris. It was about what was right. It was about standing in alignment with my values and virtue, what was right. Because I knew if I kept my mouth shut after some, we can call it hate mail that we received, and you can go back my feed, you can find all this stuff. I'm not going to hide it from you. It was not nice. Also anonymous. So I was curious about who in my community is sending this to my house with my wife and my children here, who would walk it up. I wouldn't be able to look my son in the eyes when he goes through challenging times if I kept my mouth shut. when his values and his morals are questioned, when he's a young man and an adult? What am I going to say to him or my daughter when they are faced with having to stand up for themselves? And Dad just rolled over and he just hid. I went through a cancellation moment, and we experienced financial hardship like we had never have before because of that. And for the past year and a half, I've been fighting to survive and to rebuild, not to make money. Yeah, there were moments. God knows that there were. But to enable my wife to stay at home with our children and to raise them as she and we stay fit. I don't care about money. I care about ensuring that I can provide them with the opportunity to live their best life, to experience their fullest potential in this life, my kids and my wife, and to fulfill their God given purpose in this life. After all, that's my actual role and responsibility to them as a father, as a husband, and as the family leader. It's not just to provide and protect, that's every man within a tribe, guys. It's to steward them to their fullest potential. That's our job. And it was hard. I won't lie to you. I struggled to sleep many nights, different than last night. And the stress of that felt like static on my skin sometimes. And maybe you can relate to that. Like it's tingling in my arms, weighed heavily on my chest. It made it hard to breathe. It stiffened my shoulders, locked them up near my ears, a state of posture that most of us just take for granted as being normal. And I'd come home at the end of the day and still be thinking about it. And what was it? Well, what had happened? And are we going to make it? Not are we going to make it in this marriage, but like, are we going to keep our house? And then what's going to happen? And I wish that I could tell you that I handled it perfectly, but I didn't. I'm human. You're human. There were moments where I really struggled to be present. I struggled to keep my stress from spilling out on them. And man, that pressure was immense some days. I was more short with them than I wanted to be. Sometimes I was lost in my head. Sometimes the 1,000-foot stare, just like, Dad, can we play? Sometimes buried in my phone. I don't know how it got in my hands again, just for an escape. Sometimes in the name of work or rebuilding business or paying bills. That's why my phone was in my hands again when I'm at home, supposed to be with my family. I couldn't take my wife out and treat her in the ways that I want to. Sometimes I felt like I should just say fuck it to those things. Just give up on that chivalry courtship altogether because, well, it's hard. If you've been with me for a little while, you know that I came back to God in 2023, but I have never been on my knees so much as I have in this past year. I came back, but we got a real relationship now. There are many times where I wish that the burden would just be a little bit easier, God, that He could just take it away. But here's the thing about God that, and you're going to laugh about this, but I've learned is that He's got a better plan. And yeah, this is cliche and it's in every single Instagram reel that's out there. And you've seen it. I know that you have. But He didn't make David a king by giving him a crown. He gave him Goliath. And the challenge before me and the challenges before you, they're not here to break. They're here to make us. And here's the other thing. We so often wish that the challenges would just end one day. We look forward to that day. It's like one day when I do this thing, when I have this money, when like I make it right with my wife, when the kids are older, everything's just gonna be easier. Everything's gonna be perfect. And then I'll do the things that I've been waiting to do. But I have news for you is that it will never be easier. It'll never be easy. There will never be a perfect time. Life will never be perfect. Negations acknowledged, Mark, England. If you guys know, you know. The challenges will persist. And I can't tell you how many times that I looked at this in this past year. We have an image that we send back and forth inside the Order of Kings. It's of a medieval knight. It says, "The demons persist." It zooms in on his face over 4 frames, and then it says, "But so do I." I looked at that so many times this past year. Yeah, the challenges, the demons persist, and so do I. And so do I. And that's a path. And brother, I know that you have pressure. I know it. I know that it's hard. I know you want it to go away. And you think, one day I'll be beyond this. But here's the part that I said that you'd laugh at. If there's anything that I learned this past year, it's that God is like Ronnie Coleman. If you guys know Ronnie Coleman, you know you're at your limit. You got that squat bar on your back, and he puts 10 more pounds on, and he slaps you on the ass, and he says, "Yeah, buddy, lightweight, baby." And your job isn't to do anything but to stand up with that bar. It's not about the weight. It's not about the pressure. It's about how we carry it, what we do with it, who we carry it with, and the one who's patting you on the ass and saying, "I know you got this." We all have this pressure, guys, and it can either crush you or it can make a diamond out of you. All that pressure, it has to go somewhere. Pressure has to go somewhere. That's not psychology, that's physics. And what are you going to do when that pressure is on you? Are you going to let it to crush you into the old patterns, programs, habituations, the ways of showing up that have always been with you, the things you've always done, the way you always react to your wife, or the way that you always bury in your phone? I know it's hard, guys. Or you reach to whatever your counterfeit comforts are: caffeine, food, alcohol, drugs, pornography, more work, social media, doom scroll, workouts that are way too hard, adrenaline based activity. What is it going to be? You're going to do the ordinary thing, or you're going to do something extraordinary. It's not about the load, it's about how you carry it, who you carry it with. All that pressure has to go somewhere, guys. It's just physics. My crazy old mentor told me something over and over and over that stuck with me. One of these things anyway, is that you are a part of nature. I'm a part of nature. We are not apart from it. You're not immune to the laws of physics. You're not immune to the pressure just because you're disciplined. I don't know, some of you guys, you hit it hard in the gym. I do too. I was that guy before I had to take my anxiety and my panic seriously. Doesn't mean that you're weak. You're not immune to it just because you're strong. Pressure must go somewhere. And the modern provider, that's me, that's you, guys, we are under more pressure than ever. We're working to provide for our family. We want the best life for not only our kids, but for our wife. She wants to stay at home with the kids. And if you're like me, you are going to make that happen for her, even if you're not sure how you're going to pay the mortgage. The economy is volatile, and every week at the grocery store feels like it's just getting more expensive. Some cry inflation. Well, corporations' profits are higher than ever, but alas, I will get off that soapbox. We've got protests, we've got murders, we've got child sex trafficking, Christian persecution, wars, politicians acting like fucking children, constant stimulation from our phones that's designed to addict us, addict you, and keep you staring at it instead of looking into the eyes of the people that you love the most. And then we have the responsibility of showing up as the present and patient and playful and engaged father we really want to be, giving them something different than we got. Even if our parents were good, we still want to give them something different, something greater. Oh, and then trying to ensure that your wife feels loved and that your marriage stays alive through all of that. I won't tell you that it's nothing. It's a lot. And the modern husband and father has more responsibility than ever. And if you are mindful of your frame, it's more opportunity than ever. And amidst all of that, the place where we're supposed to get a breath, amidst all that craziness, all the pressure that's supposed to renew us, the place that should feel the best to us, a sanctuary, is the place that we end up bringing all of that pressure to bear on. If we don't learn how to ground it, I'm not talking in some yoga guy sense, but in the sense of an electrical system that dissipates the charge so it doesn't set your house on fire, that will leak. And it's not your house because that's just a physical structure, it's your home, the relationships that will be set on fire. You get home despite the fact that you love them. And you wake up every single morning beside them, just wishing to just for a couple more minutes with them. And that you could just be with them all day, but you get up, you go to work because you're doing this for them. Despite that fact, you get home and you get overwhelmed more quickly. And your fuse is shorter. And you reach for your phone for a moment of rest. Dad's got to rest. Dad's so tired. Give me a second. Just for a breath. And you realize you've been staring off into space while they play around you. And your wife's overstimulation at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that she's bad. I'm not saying she's bad. Ladies, I know. Her overstimulation at the end of the whole day with the kids alone comes out sideways at you. And instead of being able to see that, you snap back. It hits because you're hurting. You take it personally. It hurts you. And maybe you bicker. Maybe you shut down, and that silent tension carries throughout the rest of the day, maybe the whole week and beyond that, creating more problems. You do it all for them. But you find that you can't give all of yourself to them. And you just don't understand why. In the family and in society, it's the masculine. It's you, the husband, it's the father. Whether you're a providing dad or a stay-at-home dad, we have both inside of our order. It's you. That's the grounding circuit. Not through force. You don't ground the home, create that stability through force, but through presence. And presence isn't just this esoteric and men's work, spiritual masculinity nonsense. And I know that you see it. I know that you see it. On Instagram, on TikTok. Presence is a practice. It's a state that you can cultivate. It's not will, it's skill. And most men think that self mastery means this rigid discipline, working out, eating right, getting up early to do all of that, and then reading your Stoicism book about fatherhood and then journaling on that. And yeah, those things are so important. And yeah, part of it is those things. The first half of my career revolved solely around those things before anxiety, before panic, before I had to admit that I wasn't right. We think we need to white knuckle it, to push harder, to try harder, to be more patient, to be more present, to be empathetic, to feel into them, to be connected, to have the relationship that we really want with them. And we need to try harder for that. But that's not mastery, it's force. And emotionally, bearing it all and just forcing your way through it, that's suppression. That's suppression. And I don't know if you ever built those dry pasta bridges back in school. It seemed like elementary school, middle school, high school, we did it, and I always sucked at it. They always broke. What happens when you're rigid and there's no flexibility? What happens to that bridge? It snaps. All of that, just burying it, which is noble, guys, in certain situations. We're built to be able to do it on the battlefield. It's just shoving more pressure right down into the volcano in your workplace. Most of you, anyway. Your home, they're not battlefields. And that pressure inside of a volcano, it's going to go somewhere. And being able to choose where that goes, that's self mastery. Self mastery is a practice. It means that we're responsive, not reactive. That we're showing up in alignment with our moral compass, our values as the man we should be and that we can be, even when it's hard. Which means that we have to know what our values are. We have to know what our vision is for ourselves, for our wife, for our family, and how we serve in the world so that we can show up in alignment with that every single day. It means we have to have some kind of a relationship to something higher than just us. And if it is a practice, it's like any other skill, then there are things that we must do in order to cultivate it. Because we all have that plan to show up extraordinarily, uncommonly, to rise above. We all have that plan. I know that you have will. Like Iron Mike said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. We all do. 2025, they punched me in the mouth real good. And maybe you just took that hit too. We all have a plan until the shit hits the fan. And when the shit hits the fan, you don't rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your training every single time. And so you have to train for it. In this day and age, this stuff used to be silly. It used to be a luxury. It used to be hippy dippy woo nonsense. But you look back in time and the samurai were trained in this. Spartans had their own practices. Did you know that they danced? These things for you, for the modern man, these are breathwork. And this isn't Wim Hof breathwork. This is breathwork to bring you into physiological coherence. This is movement. And this is not just working out. Working out is great. It releases hormones in your body. And no, it's not hormones. It's compounds, proteins that blunt pain. But more than that, they actually help with managing trauma. That's crazy. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things like Qigong, like yoga. I'm talking about things that maybe you do, maybe you pray, but deeper than that. prayer, meditation. This is journaling, and this isn't just reading Marcus Aurelius's meditations, but asking the question, what is happening inside of me right now? Really? What am I carrying? What's unspoken? Because one, often just by acknowledging it, we can give that emotion time to play itself out, and within 90 seconds, it can be gone. But when we suppress it, it stays, and it gets louder, and it yells, and then we go to more things. We go to our phone, we go to pornography, we go to alcohol, whatever it is, in order to numb out to it, just to try and quiet it because it's so loud in here. And we so loud that we can't hear our son saying, "Dad, come play with me. I want to build Legos." And we can't put out fires that we pretend are not there. This is writing out your vision, what it is that you're building for yourself and your family every single day. Not as a wish list, but as a fact. I have done this thing. And this is how I show up for my wife and my kids. This is my standard. It's asking God, God, please remove every obstacle that stands between myself and my purpose. Break every chain, open every door, illuminate the path that I might walk it, and let thy will be done. Because I'm an instrument of your purpose, not my own. And I know that aligned with you, I cannot fail. What are the 3 things that I need to do today to live in alignment with that purpose and to make this happen and to be the most faithful instrument of your purpose? And then you got to write those things down. And then you have to go do them, even if they're scary, even if they're hard. I would say, especially if. Doing these things, the breath work, the meditation, especially, and I'll give you the top 3 emotional freedom technique tapping. Biggest free resource that you can use for lowering cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline. That's your stress response. Breaking that's one of the biggest things that we do inside the order. You can go do it for free at EFT Universe. Your breath work. Qigong, yoga, number 2 and 3. Breath work would be number 4. These are free biohacks, but they're not biohacks, guys. They're transformation technologies. They change you. By doing these things, you build a greater capacity to handle the pressure of life. This, we might call it a resilience capacity, but in science, this is measured with your heart rate variability. I wear an Oura ring. You've got an Apple Watch. Most people do now, or Garmin or something. It'll measure your heart rate variability. It'll tell you how big your capacity is. Some people just naturally have bigger capacity than others, but through doing these practices, you expand that heart rate variability. And that means that you can handle more unpredictability in your life without being thrown off of allostasis. And that's situationally appropriate heart rate, blood pressure being. We could talk about homeostasis, but that would be, sitting. And you're not sitting. You're hunting, you're gathering, you're fighting, you're fucking. At least the modern the modern version of that. So you're building a greater capacity to handle the pressure through these practices. You're also building balance, the mystical yogi word. And I have so many guys come to me and they say, "How do I balance it on?" I tell them, it's not about perfect balance. Perfect balance is not attainable. You will fail at that. You can't have balance. At least not in the way that you understand it. Because balance is more like walking on a tightrope. And that tightrope is moving, and maybe there's wind right now. And your nervous system needs to respond. And the balance that we are talking about is called physiological coherence. It's a physiological state. Yogis might call it centeredness. This is balance between sympathetic nervous system activation, your stress response, fight or flight, where it's you versus whatever is in front of you, your wife, your kids, your bills, whatever, doesn't matter. You're there, it's you versus them. You're in fight mode. It's balance between that and parasympathetic nervous system activation. That's your rest and recovery, relaxation response, the only place that you can get into connection with another being. And most of us, we don't know how to get there. But through these practices, especially through what's called the heart focused breath, you put your hand on your heart, you breathe in for 6 seconds, not like Wim Hof, hardcore, full, long, deep. You breathe out for 6 seconds. In clinical settings, that is the breathwork technique that is most reliable for inducing physiological coherence. What is that? That's the balance point between sympathetic and parasympathetic, fight or flight, and rest and relaxation, from which you can go anywhere. The heart is the biggest biological oscillator in the body. It creates an electromagnetic field. Whatever's happening with the heart is happening with every single cell and every other organ system in the body. If the heart gets into coherence, it pulls your brain into coherence, your digestive system, all the way down to the cellular level. Everything synchronizes. What about mentally and emotionally? Well, the signature of coherence mentally is focus and presence. I'm here. No matter what else is going on in life, I'm here with you right now. This is what we're doing together. Emotionally, well, what about incoherence? The signature of incoherence is anxiety. And when you're anxious and you're incoherent and you're in high beta brainwave, the signature brainwave of stress, your brain is thinking, well, if I'm fighting this bear right now, I could run there, I could go up and over this tree, I can get underneath that car as well, I can get away from him. But in your life, that's everything else that's going on with work. What's going on with politics? What's going to happen with this bill? I know I'm getting paid on Friday, but am I going to make it? What's going to happen? Here's this notification on my phone. It's something from my bank again. Did I overdraw my account? But I'm not going to look at it. That's what's happening in your brain when you're incoherent. But coherence is appreciation, gratitude, love, joy, connection, empathy, to feel into the person in front of you. This is all science, guys. It's not woo-woo hippie nonsense. This is what we're doing. This is what men need to be initiated into. This is what you need to be taught if you want to thrive and you want your kids and your wife to thrive in the modern day and age. Because I will tell you, everything nowadays, the hyper busyness, the hyper scheduling, the hyper stimulation, the distraction, it's all designed to make you incoherent. Because when you're incoherent, you're impulsive, you spend money, you become addicted to things. And so will your kids, unless you break this. If you don't break this, your kids are screwed. Because this world is just going to get more addicted. But through getting real with yourself, and especially with brothers, you're meant to be in brotherhood, guys. And shaking your body, doing the EFT tapping I was talking about. Go to EFT Universe, do it for free, or just come to me. I got a mini training on it. Do lifting weights, making sure your breath is synced with your movements. Yeah, there's a moving meditation there. Discharging this pressure, you're releasing that excess pressure, that excess charge constructively. And when you're tense, you're a little bit more rigid. And you're like, my jaw, my neck hurts, because the body keeps the score. You cannot escape this. You are a part of nature, not apart from it. And then through turning your eyes and your heart towards the light, away from the fear, away from the shadow, dropping into your breath, your meditation, your prayer, turning towards those things and ones that you love the most, you shift your physiology. You get capacity, you get resources back. You create a second of space from when the shit hits the fan until you respond. And you can say, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to turn to porn right now. I want to turn to alcohol. I want to yell at this child right now. I want to say that thing that I know hurts my wife because I'm hurting right now. And I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to choose connection. This isn't discipline, guys. Unless you think about it in the original sense of discipline, which is to be a disciple, not just a follower of the path, but an embodiment of it. Show up to the classroom of life every single day and to study the lessons and to put them into practice. It's not just rigidly following the law, it's the heart and the spirit of it. It's an art. Heart. It's a masculine art. This is devotion. It's not about morning routines. It's about sacred ritual. Devotion to putting in that work that makes us into the men that we could be. Not just for us, but for them, for their children. Children that we'll never meet. Every single day. It's getting on your knees and rubbing your wife's feet every single night, not because you put her on a pedestal, but lifting her up because, well, she's the most important person and the most important thing in your life. And we want to make her life as beautiful and blessed as possible. Well, because whatever she has in the tank is what she's going to pour into those kids. And you want the best for her just as you want the best for them. This is all the difference between discipline and devotion, between routine, something that you do, and ritual, something that brings you into full alignment every single day. To show up as the man, the husband, the father that she needs you to be, that they need you to be, that the world needs you to be, because you have something to give here. Otherwise, God wouldn't have put you here. He has a purpose for you. And when you learn to do that, as a matter of practice, as a developed skill, rather than just force of will, you stop exploding. You stop escaping. You become present again. You have energy again and capacity for them again. Your kids, your wife, they don't just get what's left of you. They get you. That's the thing when your wife says, I just want to spend time with you. I want to play, or your son. Maybe she says, I want to play with you. Yeah, that's what we want. But your son, your daughter, they say, I want to play with you. They don't mean that they want more time or that they want to sit there and like have you mindlessly playing Legos with them. They want your energy, your essence, your engagement, your play, your all inness with them. Being a husband, being a father, it isn't about being perfect. That's not attainable. It's not even about being present. They don't need a perfect dad, they just need a present one. That one's everywhere, that cliche. And yeah, there's some truth to that, but God knows enough of us are physically present, but mentally we're everywhere else. It's about being devoted to putting in the work so that we can be the safe harbor for them, for the waves, the emotions of life, and the chaos is out of control to crash into. Putting in the work to be the grounding charge, or not the grounding charge, but to be the grounding force for the family, to ground out that charge, the stress, the pressure, rather than getting our work and our pressure and our stress all over them. This is about being hard to kill and easy to love. That's it. And I'll tell you, if I didn't have practice, and if I didn't have brothers, and I didn't have something higher to connect to in 2025, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. And I know a lot of men who are in the same place. That's it, guys. If you want help with this, email me, help. We'll talk. I'm not going to sell you a program. It's stuff that we could do. Got free mini trainings to hook you up with, whatever, but email that to me and we'll talk. Rob@robbailjr.com. You can DM me on Instagram because you shouldn't have to figure this out alone. And that's what I got for you today. That's what I got for you. Thanks for being here. Keep showing up. Have an uncommon day. Peace.